Phineas and Ferb was an American animated comedy television series. It only had 4 complete seasons and is scheduled to return for 2 additional seasons in 2025. It revolved around 2 stepbrothers who did a lot of project constructions during the summer vacation, and in today's episode we are going to have a look at the characters present in the show and later discuss the beautiful people behind the voices and how old they are in 2025. We start with Perry's arch-enemy known as Hines Duffens, who was an evil scientist that hailed from the country of Drusselstein. He was the head and owner of Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated, and was a very funny man who was overly dramatic too. He was 47 years old in the show, and was always seen trying to assert his rule across the entire tri-state area. He always failed because of a hero platypus called Perry, who always stopped his plans each and every time. He was voiced by a man named Dan Povenmire, who is an American animator and a voice actor, and is actually one of the guys who co-created this show. Major Francis Monogram was the head of a secret corporation and was the commanding officer of Agent Perry. He was mostly serious due to his rank, and always expected Perry to successfully complete the tasks that he gave him. He was also unable to do anything by himself, and that is why he always depended on his secretary to do everything pertaining technology and office work. He was voiced by Jeff Marsh, who is an American animator and also a voice actor, and just like Dan Povenmire, he was also the main brains behind this show. Phineas Flynn was one of the main characters in the show, and was a genius who built anything he could think of from scratch just to have fun with his stepbrother and his friends. He was an optimistic kid, and always looked on the brighter side of life. He was also extremely smart and creative, and together with his brother, they built very many projects throughout the show. In addition, he was so hospitable to everyone, and even included the school bully to his fun times and games. He was voiced by Vincent Martella, who is an American actor, and can also be seen playing the role of the nerd in Everybody Hates Chris. Now let's meet Candice, who was the sister to Phineas and the anti-hero in the show. She was the older sister who was actually 15 years old, and she invested the whole of her holiday in trying to expose the magnificent inventions of his brothers to her mother. But every time her mother reaches to the esteemed location, the boys would somehow clean up their messes, which always left Candice looking like a fool. She also enjoyed hanging out with her friend called Stacy, and during her free time, she fantasized about her boyfriend called Jeremy Johnson, a funny girl voiced by Ashley Tisdale, who is an American actress and singer that has been married since 2014 to her husband Christopher French. Isabella Garcia Shapiro was the neighbor and the best friend to Phineas and Ferb. She always had a huge crush on Phineas, and was a cheerful and sweet girl, who was also very brave and caring to her friends. She was always eager and ready to help with the boys' big ideas and projects, and as the brave leader of the Fireside Girls troupe, she was very level-headed, and disliked being told what to do by anyone. She was voiced by Allison Stoner, who just like Ashley Tisdale, is an American actress and singer who can also be seen in the Step Up franchise. Linda was the mother of Phineas and Ferb and their sister Candice, and was just a supporting character who was seen once in a while. She was a regular American mother who went to work, was there for her kids, and was very calm throughout the show. In the 1980s, she once dated Dr. Duff, a relationship which never lasted long. She was then married to her now husband known as Lawrence, and it was Caroline Rhea who voiced her. She is a Canadian actress and a stand-up comedian who started her career in the early 80s. Ferb was the stepbrother of Phineas who we keep talking about. He was an English child of the Fletcher family, and was a boy who rarely spoke. He was not shy as others would assume, but was actually a courageous lad who did not have much to say. He always stayed calm in the midst of desperate scenarios, and was very good in technology and other technical proficiencies. He was voiced by Thomas Brodie Sangster, who is an English actor that got married a few months back to his now wife Tallulah Riley. Carl was the unpaid intern and cameraman of Major Francis Monogram, and was another supporting character. He was seen to be so loyal to his job and boss, and always yearned to earn his respect. He was voiced by Tyler Alexander Mann, who is an actor, singer, and songwriter. There was a bully known as Buford, who was the final boss of nerds in the show. He was a local bully with a high sense of rudeness, but was actually not an evil boy. He was somewhat a friend of Phineas and Ferb, and was always joining them in their adventures and fun times. This boy was so emotional, and was never afraid of expressing himself. He always picked on an Indian boy named Baljit, who both were always paired together during their adventures. He was voiced by a man named Bobby Gaylor, who is mostly an American writer, and sometimes a comedian and an actor. Now, Baljit was the Indian boy we mentioned earlier, and was a very intelligent boy who always took part in Phineas and Ferb's life. He loved learning, and was always compelled to get good grades and being the best. He was always bullied by Buford due to the fact that he was smart and soft, and during the group's activities he was often paired with him. A cute, loving boy voiced by Maulik Pancholi, an American actor who is also well known for voicing Sanjay Patel in the Sanjay and Craig series. Lawrence Fletcher was the biological father to Ferb, the stepdad to Phineas and Candice, and the loving husband to Linda. He was seen to love history and ancient cultures and artifacts. He also loved watching movies and listening to rock music. He was sometimes very absent-minded and an imaginative fella who had a childlike innocence. Unlike his wife Linda, Lawrence knew that the boys built amazing things, and was sometimes seen encouraging them to continue. He was voiced by Richard O'Brien, who is a British and New Zealand actor and television presenter, who was actually the man who wrote the musical stage show known as the Rocky Horror of 1973. Perry was a secret agent platypus who lived a double life as a secret agent and as a pet. His superior was the man who we discussed known as Francis Monogram. He was a defender of action, and was a noble agent who was fiercely loyal to his course. His arch-enemy was Dr. Duff, whom both have produced some of the funniest and most iconic scenes in the show. He was voiced by D. Bradley Baker, an American voice actor whose most voices in cartoons consists of vocalizations of animals and monsters. The beautiful Vanessa was the only child of Dr. Duff, and was sometimes seen as the helper of his father with his evil schemes. Her behavior was just like that of a typical teenager, as we saw that she loved owning a car, and always cared much about her reputation. And it was Olivia Olson who voiced her, an American actress and a songwriter. Norm was an oversized humanoid robot that was created by Dr. Duff to destroy Perry the platypus. But as the show continued, Norm was seen not to really care about evil deeds, and was in fact just a clueless and stupid robot. He was voiced by John Viner, who is an American actor and comedian, and is best known for directing and voice acting in various characters of Family Guy. Jeremy Johnson was the boyfriend of Candice, and was just a supporting character in the show. He was always seen visiting Phineas and Ferb to enjoy their large projects. He was 16 years old in the show, and the perfect voice of Mitchell Musso was responsible. There was this girl called Gretchen who was a member of the Fireside Troupe, and was just an additional character. She was seen frequently participating in their big ideas, and it was said that she always had a crush on Ferb. The beautiful voice of Ariel Winter voiced her, an American actress who raised to fame in the ABC sitcom show known as The Modern Family, playing the role of Alex Dunphy. Candice's best friend was known as Stacey Hirano, who was an American-Japanese girl and one of the major characters in the show. She was always seen mostly talking to Candice through the phone, and was also a good friend to Jeremy. She was voiced by the famous Kelly Hu is an American actress that has been around for the longest time in Hollywood. Addison Sweetwater was a good friend of Isabella and a member of the Fireside Girls. She was voiced by Madison Pettis, who is an American actress that is mostly recognized for her role as Sophie Martinez on the Disney comedy show known as Cory in the House. Roger Doofenshmirtz was the brother of Dr. Duff and the uncle to Vanessa. He was also the mayor of Danville, and was Mom's favorite child growing up amongst Dr. Duff. voiced by John O'Hurley, who was an American actor and comedian, and was also a game show host and television presenter back in the days. And finally, we meet Peggy McGee, who was the former neighbor of the Fletcher family, and was known to be a notorious con artist. She appeared in the episode Thanks But No Thanks, and was perfectly voiced by Goldie Jean Hawn, an American actress that was born in November 21st of 1945, and is now blessed with 2 sons and 1 daughter.